Hi, my name is Tim. I'm the Technical Support and Installation Engineer at HCRsoft. In today's webinar, we will have a look at batch printing your assemblies. With me today, I have François Simon, who will answer your questions. You can use the chat box and the GoToWebinar panel. I will make room after this session for more questions so that you follow the presentation better. We expect the webinar to take somewhere in the range of 25 to 30 minutes. The webinar is being recorded and will be made available online later on. Okay, let's get started. We can print in many ways using custom tools. Either print the entire assembly or individual components. We can also use the printing in different ways, either from search or from the user interface. Printing from the search or by selecting Add File does not require you to load the assembly beforehand, hence saving more time. Printing can be done without any open documents, and we even support drag and drop of files. I'm going to open the print and convert a few times and not really do anything in it yet. This is only to show how to access the print and convert window. After this, I will show the actual functionality that we have in this dialog. And also I will do a print to a PDF printer so you can see it actually working. But let's have a look in SOLIDWORKS, more easy that way. So I'm going to open a file from the search. So go to the custom tool search and search for my assembly file that I want to print. And we found that in the database, and I can now go and select print and convert the bill of material of selected files. This will actually load the assembly structure into custom tools. We are not doing anything inside SOLIDWORKS yet, so we didn't have to open this assembly beforehand. I can now close that one and then open it inside SOLIDWORKS. So printing from inside SOLIDWORKS, you just click on the print and convert, and that would open the same window. If, for instance, you wanted to print individual files like this drawing and that drawing and this one, we actually support this from inside SOLIDWORKS as well. So I'm going to close that one again, and then from the list view, I can select by click and shift click to select a sequence of files in the feature manager, or I could use control to select individual components. And I can even select components residing in a subassembly, for instance. So take that one. And if I then go and print and convert, I will only get these selected files. And you may actually have seen this by mistake at some point. If you have selected a component in the graphics window and you go to the print and convert, you only get that one file. So in case you ever wonder what happened during that, this is what happened. There is another way of printing your files, and this is actually really useful if you have some non-CAD users that do not have SOLIDWORKS on their system. They can install the Custom Tools Viewer. And hopefully that will load. Apparently not. Okay, there it is. Not sure what happened then. But I can search for the same file, 1545. And from the viewer, mind you, this does not have to be on a PC where SOLIDWORKS is installed. But from the viewer, I can then go ahead and do the print and convert and do the exact same as I could from inside SOLIDWORKS. There are some limitations. We are not handling files, but you will understand that later on during this webinar. So those were the ways. Now, if I close everything in here, I can also start the print and convert directly from within SOLIDWORKS. And from here, I can do different things. I can use my file operation, add files, and then load a bunch of drawings that I wish to print. I can clear this list. I can use file operation, add folder, and then search for a folder that I want to print. So in this case, I want to go to my E drive, my design, and then we bring the boom. Now, I'm not sure what is inside this folder. I just know that I need to print whatever is in the we bring the boom folder. So I can select include subfolders, and that would load the entire list of files that are found in that location. Just to clear the window, I can also use add assembly. And from here I can select the same assembly as before. So now I'm loading an assembly from the file operation menu. And actually, if you wanted to, you could go ahead and use drag and drop. So I have on the other screen here, I have some PDF files. I want to print those as well. So I'm going to add those to my print job. And I also have a Word document that I want to print. So you don't have to only print SOLIDWORKS files. You can also print PDF, Word, and other files. So this is just a cool trick for you if you didn't already know that. Okay, so this is pretty simple. If I'm going to have a look at printing a file with configurations in it, we also support that in many ways. So here is a part file, and this part file is called 1566. And this has three configurations. It has a default, a tall, and a wide. And each of these configurations has individual drawings. So if this is the way you are working, then we know the reference. So if I'm going to print the assembly where this is contained in, I can go ahead and select where used and select an assembly and select open file in SOLIDWORKS. So this is my assembly file. I have the 1566 in the top level, and then I have two sub-assemblies inserted, and each of these has the same part, but in different configuration. I have the default, the wide, and the tall. If I go into my print and convert now, we can see that we understand the references. So we are referencing the wide drawing, the tall drawing, and the default drawing. So I could go ahead and select print. And that would then print everything for this assembly. If I had a different scenario, I do not use individual drawings for my configurations, then we also support that. So I'm going to search for a different file. And this time we have one file with different configurations. We have a tall, wide, and a default. And then we have one single drawing for this. So I'm going to look at the part file where that is being used. It's used in this assembly, and open this one up. So pretty basic for this one. If I am going to run the print and convert on this document, I only print the sheet called default because the configuration that I'm referencing from this part is the default. Okay. What happens if I add a new file? So I will set that as the wide. So now I get one more configuration. It's the same file, just referencing a different configuration. So in the print and convert dialog, we already know the references. So this one is the default and this one is the wide. So we know that wide configuration is residing on sheet number 3 in this drawing. So really we are completely in control of what we are printing. So just to show you the drawing for this one, I have sheet 1, which is default. I have sheet 2, which is the tall one, and sheet 3, which is the wide one. And then we know the reference and what is inserted into that drawing view, and then we can print the correct paper for you. Okay, let's go back to PowerPoint here. So a lot of print and convert options, and we're going to explore these in a minute, but just a lot of words before that. Using custom tools to print your drawings will give you more control of things that you ever had before. If you have the need for printing an entire project as A4 or letter size, just make a profile and we will scale everything to fit. If you have 5 sheet sizes and need to utilize 3 printers and maybe 1 plotter to get the job done, no worries, just define this once in the printing profile and all users are printing to the correct paper size, orientation and printer. Do you have make and buy parts? If there is a file property, then use the filter to only select make parts. No need to waste paper on those buy components anyway. Would it be great to print everything in ascending or descending order based on a property? That's no problem. We support this also. Are you working with layers? We can, for instance, have different layers in different languages on our sheet format file. Use custom tools to activate or deactivate layers that you do not want or need to print. You can use this for translating files in an easy way, and I will show you that in a few minutes. Another use case is prints for manufacturing and purchasing. Maybe you have items in the drawing which are not needed in manufacturing, so you just put the information on a layer and then hide that during print. We did this long before SOLIDWORKS implemented it, and you can rely on it to be working always. Print a solution you made for customer C and now customer B want the same product. Not a problem, just allow to edit the customer information during print and you are all set. We can change any property during print as long as it is defined using custom tools, then we can control it. Did you ever make a change to a sheet format to add a new and updated logo, for instance? You can set the current sheet format on a new sheet format to be used and then reload or even convert it to a completely different sheet format during the print. And how about adding manufacturing quantities? Well, that is easy as well. Just a mouse click and you are all set. So let's have a look in SOLIDWORKS. So let me just see. There it is. I don't want to save or keep anything open. I'm just going to close everything here. So from the search, I'm going to find a file again, 1567, and open that one. If I'm looking at this one and looking at the print job, then I have print profiles in this window. And you can have as many batch printing rules as you require for your company. So in this case, I have a print all in A4. This is good for documentation. If you are at the end of a project, then your customer would most likely want to have all the drawings printed in A4 just as a reference. So we can do that. We scale everything to fit on an A4. If you have production prints, you most likely need to print something in A4 for one printer, and A3 is a different printer, and for sure you have the larger sheet sizes like A1, A0, which may need to be plotted. Just define this once, and these profiles are shared amongst all of your engineers. And we can even build in some filters. So if I look at this TRH, I can see that I have drawing sheets called DXF sheet, and this is a flat representation of a sheet metal file, and most likely I don't really want to or even need to print this one. So we can actually build in a filter directly into our printing profile, and in this case I'm just ruling out if you have DXF, these 3 letters, in any sequence on a DXF, or sorry, on a drawing sheet, then we do not want to print them. So really you have a lot of control for this one. I'm going to close that and then open up one more assembly. So print that. I don't even want to open it. Now that was the print profiles. We also have different other options going on in the top in here. So if, for instance, I want to select something and print that, and I realize, well, I actually don't want to print everything. I only need to print files that are DXF files, or at least has that property set. So I can clear everything in here, clear selection, and then go into my filter. And from here, I have even more control. I can select that when the column description 1, DXF file, project info, these are the ones that I can filter based on. So DXF file, if that is equal X, then I want to select or clear the file or the reference drawing. What does this mean actually? Well, if I look at this, I can see that my part file has that property set, but the drawing itself does not have that property. So if I was to select or clear the file, I would then tell to select the part file, and we cannot print that, so we wouldn't select anything. So in this case, I need to select the referencing drawing. So if I press select now, these files are then selected. If I wanted to print all the part files or the drawings of the part files, I could use my filter also and select, well, I want to print drawings referencing a part. And that would select all of my part drawings. And if I wanted to only print what is referring an assembly, then I can select that one. And in this case, only one drawing is actually created for my assembly, the top level. I do not have a drawing for my sub level, so that is obviously not selected. So really you have a lot of control of what you are printing here. If I just reselect everything, we also have the print order. So in this one, we can manage the order. And from here, you can define how to print. And we have the bill of material, which is the default. And you can actually go and select, do you want to go level by level or sub-assemblies first? And if you are printing production drawings in A3, A2, A0, then most likely this wouldn't make a lot of sense because you would manually have to go and collect all of these papers and then put them in sequence anyway. But if you are printing to an A4, for instance, then this could come in handy. You can select how to print it. Is it bill of material? Is it alphabetically, ascending or descending, or is it by a property value? So for instance, in this case, I could filter on description 1 and then go ascending or descending. So really, again, we have a lot of control of how to print our drawings. From the print order, we can also go ahead and view our order. So this is what we are going to print. And you don't have to do this actually, but you can go ahead and select everything in this list and just make a copy of that and put those into Notepad or Excel or whatever, and you have a checklist afterwards. So just a neat little trick as well. Don't save that. We also have the layer control. Actually, yeah, layer control. Let's go for that. From here, I can select what layers to show and hide during the print. So for my setup, I'm using a sheet format file, which has 2 layers. It actually has 3 layers. I have one layer for tolerance tables, it's called tolerance, and whatever I place on that, I can then hide and show during my print. And then I have the translate to Danish. My default way of working is to put everything into my English layer and just work on English files. But in some cases, I want to translate things into Danish, and then I have translated all of my annotation on my drawing or my sheet format template into Danish, and then I can really simple translate everything and make it look clear to everyone. So I could select to hide and show these layers. These are again predefined in our options. I also have the option to control my properties, and from here actually I cannot see any properties in this one. I could allow to show those in the graphics window, but I cannot see anything. So I could then go ahead and type in the customer name in these cases and just update whatever is on here, and that would be what is going to be printed. We can also do assembly properties, so these are specific for assemblies. We could do it specific for part properties, or we could do it specific for drawing properties. the model properties or assembly and parts. Then we have the option to change or reload a sheet format. So actually in here we also have an option to translate our file. This is based on if you are selecting a property in custom tools which are retrieved from a dictionary. Then you are able to, on the fly, translate that from one language to another language. The downside to this is you're not translating your entire sheet format by this. So this is why I'm using the layer definition for these and not this one. But again, you have all the control and you can work in however way you want to do it. But the sheet format action, you can then convert or reload a sheet format. So if you have an updated company logo and you are printing an old project, then the new drawings are going to be printed with the correct and new company logo. Or it could be that you are creating something and the customer would like all the drawings to be printed on their sheet format. No problem, you can do that as well. And of course we have the option to add quantity in this window as well. And don't worry, I'm going to put this all together in a real print later on, and then you will understand everything a whole lot more clear. But if you want even more control over the print, we actually have the process drawings, and this is really hard to explain without an image. So I do have an image for that, but what it's doing, it's first instance by level or first instance recursive. And if I have a look at these images, this is the print first instance by level. So we have an assembly where we in the first level have drawing number 2. And then on the second level, I'm using drawing number 2 twice. First instance by level. The first one is printed. The first one is printed. The second one is not printed. First instance recursive means that we are finding the very first drawing, in this case number 2, and then we do not really care about the subsequent drawings we found in the assembly. We are not printing those. So maybe that is a way of saving paper and making it more clear that we do not need to do this 10 times. If you have 20 parts being used 10 places, then just print 1, add quantity 20 instead of making 10 prints and add quantity 2 on each of these drawings. So this is what this is doing. Okay, let's put all of this together so it makes a whole lot more sense. So close everything and just open a really simple file. That one. So this is a simple file, and I'm going to keep it simple for, it's more easy to understand what is going on. So I want to first show the drawing for this one. On this drawing, I have my sheet format. It's actually currently in English. I have some customer information going on up here. And this is in English, but I may or may not want to translate that. And if I have a look at my layers in here, I can see that I have an English layer. It's the active one right now. I can switch that off, and all of my nodes are removed. They are not removed, they are just hidden. And then I can switch on the Danish layer, and everything is then translated into Danish. If I'm using the dictionary, the one on the last page, I will show you that again, then only the properties retrieved from a dictionary is translated. By doing it this way, I'm able to control that all the text labels as well are then translated. So this is why I'm doing how I'm doing it. So close that one. Okay, so I'm going to print this one. I want to print this, and I'm using a PDF printer, so I don't have to show a piece of paper on a webcam afterwards, but just so you know, I'm not converting it into PDF. I just use a virtual PDF printer for this webinar. But this is being printed now, and actually I would like to have maybe 8 instances of this file. So I select 8. And this is a preview. I'm not sure if anyone saw that, but we already sent out an early visibility for you guys. And this is from the early visibility that when you change a quantity, then we prompt you, would you like to set the quantity of whatever is being changed to the value of whatever is being set for all of the print profiles and batch conversion rules in this operation. Some would like to say yes, and some would like to say no, but you have the choice now. So I'm going to say yes. When you change the quantity in the print or the convert dialog, it turns blue, and you can right-click and reset the quantity. But for this one, I'm going to accept it. Then I'm going to go to my layer definition, and I want to translate the drawing into Danish. For the property values, I would like to swap the ATR customer with custom tools. Now actually I want to do awesome dudes. The customer address is the same. The customer reference might be myself. And then I need to change the reference email as well. And I will reply to that if you should wonder. Next up is adding some additional options. When we set the quantity, like I did for this one, we automatically set the add quantity tick mark for you. We just assume that you may want to have the quantity, or else you wouldn't really bother changing that one. So this is an assumption that we are making. And also I would like to convert my sheet format. I want to completely redo it. I want a different sheet format than the one that I had. So I'm not using this one to translate. I use my layer definition. And basically that is all there is to it. So I'm going to print that into PDF. And just overwrite that. And there is my new drawing. So it's a completely different sheet format. I updated the customer reference during the print, and I completely removed this entire frame down here. So everything worked as I was suspecting it to do. Yeah, pretty much it. So what are the main benefits? Well, you can print the documents in whatever way fits you the best. You could even take the printing task completely away from the engineer and let non-CAD users print files themselves. The user interface is pretty simple to learn, even though we have added a lot of functionality into it. This is all I had for you today. I hope you got inspired by this and appreciate that Custom Tools seeks to remove all of the trivial items from the design job. Make sure to stay tuned for more webinars and have a look on our YouTube channel for previous recordings. The next webinar is more technical, and we will cover lookup lists and how to use them. I will now answer your questions and stop recording, so if you are leaving, I'd like to thank you and wish you a great day.